Revolutionary greetings, comrades. You will recall that the African National Congress held its policy conference in Johannesburg. We recorded a video to say that the policy conference makes recommendations to the elective conference, which will happen in December, which adopts the policies of the African National Congress. Our interest is on the issue of migration, as many of the people that we represent are affected by the question of migration. So indeed, migration was discussed at the policy conference. There were different commissions in the policy conference of the ANC that was discussing various issues or various policy issues of concern to the African National Congress. The issues of migration were discussed under the Peace and Stability Commission. The Peace and Stability Commission discussed various policies around this question around peace and stability. So we'll only look into the issues of migration that were raised. We will not discuss the whole document because a lot of things might not be necessary to our audience. Let's look into what they said on migration issues. I will read. It says, I quote, Home Affairs has had to address the issues of illegal migration and porous borders. To this end, the Department of Home Affairs has been reclassified as a security department, and it is part of the JCPS cluster. Home Affairs has put together a migration policy to address the issues of migration. The issue of the ANC branch is having to determine the legality of foreign nationals where they live. This matter has not been structurally addressed. It has been done in isolated areas. The issue of the establishment of the refugee reception center nearest to the ports of entry has not happened as it requires more financial resources. Currently, there are 5 refugee reception centers around the country in Mosina, Pretoria, Cape Town, Durban, and Kapeha. The Border Management Authority Act has been passed, and the first 200 cohorts of the border guards have been deployed in the 6 vulnerable segments across the country. So this was on migration issues. So what it says, just in summary, one is that the policy or the branches of the ANC should participate in the drawing up of the migration policy. 2, that the Home Affairs Department has been is now part of the JCPS cluster. I guess it should be the security cluster, but I stand corrected. I didn't check the abbreviation of this, what it stands for. And that the reception center, which was said should be put next to the port of entry, it has not happened because of resources. Remember, in the white paper gazetted in 2017, the white paper on international migration proposed that the refugee centers must be put near the port of entry so that when you come in, say at Bedbridge border post, you declare yourself there that you are running away from persecution. They will then make a determination while you are near the port of entry in this facility. If they then find that your claim is not valid or is not correct, you will be sent back immediately. But if your claim is said to be valid, after they will have done the necessary investigations, will then be allowed to move into the rest of the republic, to wherever you want to settle. This is what was said in the white paper on international migration as gazetted in 2017. So here they are saying that center or that has not happened because of a number of issues, particularly resources. And then lastly, they name the number of refugee centers that are in South Africa. Let's then look into policy matters. What we just read was a summary, and then now we look into the policy matters. What is the policy? What are the proposals in terms of dealing with the migration issues? I will read, noting that since 1994, the ANC branches have not had a focused opportunity to reflect on and discuss the migration policy framework to meet modern societal challenges. The ANC need to seriously debate the policy framework on migration. This policy discussion paper is an attempt to give ANC branches an opportunity to discuss issues relating to migration at the policy conference. There are 3 acts that deal with migration, namely the Citizenship Act of 1995, the Refugee Act of 1998, and the Immigration Act of 2002, which were all developed without the advantage of guiding policy framework. Similarly, the Border Management Authority Act, it says an important piece of legislation from a migration point of view passed recently, in brackets, was enacted in a similar fashion. With all the contemporary challenges brought by migration, both global and locally, the time has arrived for the ANC to develop a clear guiding policy on migration. In 1996, the ANC-led government acceded to the 1951 United Nations UN Convention, the 1967 Protocol, and the 1969 OAU Convention on the Status of Refugees without a guiding policy. Most countries on the African continent and globally acceded to these international conventions with reservations and exemptions, and they based their decision on the country's capacity and the capability to absorb refugees. Other countries considered the safety and security of their citizens, and South Africa did not make this consideration. The said state of affairs has resulted in the management of migration in South Africa becoming unworkable and unfavorable, and a court judgment on immigration matters against the state is the order of the day. In the midst of all this, certain groupings, taking advantage of the policy gaps and misinterpreting the spirit of the Constitution, are fueling strife and adding more confusion for their nefarious gains. As a result, we have witnessed violent clashes between citizen groups and foreign national groups. The policy gaps are also prevalent in the labor market, where some unscrupulous employers are practicing modern-day slavery by promoting tensions between unionized South African workers and foreign nationals. This unacceptable state of affairs cannot be allowed to continue unabated, and the ANC has to do something about it. This is where the issue of a complete overhauling of the whole migration system in the country arises. During the war in Mozambique, there have been people who were put in refugee camps, and after 1994, those camps were turned into the residential status, and those people and their children have not been documented to this date. Recommends that that's the that's the Peace and Stability Commission making this recommendation, recommends that the ANC-led government must consider the review of its accession to the 1951 Convention and 1967 Protocol without reservation. The procedure involves depositing the reservations with the Secretary General of the United Nations. The ANC-led government must consider overhauling the Citizenship Act, Refugees Act, and the Immigration Act to meet the new challenges facing South Africa. The ANC-led government must consider introducing a single legislation to deal with citizenship, immigration, and refugee protection, as it is now an international trend. Owing to a well-documented practice of marriages of convenience and the abuse of women, the accusation of citizenship through marriage should be done away with in the new policy framework. If a South African citizen marries a foreign national, their rights and consequences, therefore, should be governed by other laws, such as the Marriage Act and the Children Act. The issue of marriage should not be linked to immigration law. The decision-making process in respect of refugees and immigration should be reviewed, including bodies and officials clothed with the powers to take decisions in respect of refugee protection and immigration. As part of the considerations to overhaul the system, the policy framework of the ANC-led government must provide for the establishment of the Immigration Board, which comprises of the representatives of the Departments of Home Affairs, Trade, Industry and Competition, Labor and Employment, Health, Small Business, Tourism, Police, South African Revenue Service, Basic Education and Higher Education, International Relations and Cooperation, and Defense and Military Veterans. Government should consider the effective implementation of the National Labour Migration Policy, which introduced the quotas on the employment of foreign nationals, and this should go a long way in diffusing the violence between South African citizens and foreign nationals over employment. The ANC should consider the establishment of the immigration courts or a special mechanism to ensure a speedy decision-making process. The current legislative arrangement is untenable and leads to long delays in finalizing immigration matters, including deportations. Migrate the refugees reception centers from inside the country to the border areas in order. Migrate the refugees reception centers from inside the country to the border areas in order to avoid people having to present themselves whilst already inside the country. Government should undertake an investigation on the proliferation and the community around borders, especially those that have been existing over a period of time, particularly for those stateless people who are born from undocumented parents in the areas of Limpopo, Mpumalanga, KwaZulu-Natal, and the Northwest. All Home Affairs offices across the country should have members of the Immigration Inspectorate in order to address issues of illegal migration across various parts of the country. The border guards of the Border Management Authority, together with members of the SADF, should be capacitated with technology in order to effectively address the issue of illegal migration and the illicit trafficking of goods in the vulnerable segments of the border law enforcement area. That's the end of the proposal. We will not deal with like I said, with other issues. I think some of us, the mistake that we make, which we want to avoid in this case, and then the number of videos that we are going to do. Some of us, we do not even understand our own immigration laws. In Zimbabwe, Eswatini, Lesotho, Mozambique, Botswana, Zambia, and so forth. We do not understand our immigration laws in our various countries, be it Nigeria, Senegal. And then the tendency which we want to avoid is that when the ANC government or the government itself makes policy proposals, we are quick to criticize them without having an understanding on our own immigration laws. So it would be fair, in our view, that in the next videos that we are going to record, we study the immigration laws of each country, at least in the SADC region, so that we have an understanding. Because we cannot force the South African government, as it were, to adopt immigration laws that are favorable to non-South Africans, while maybe our own immigration laws in our different countries are worse than what the ANC-led government is proposing, or the ANC Policy Conference is proposing to its national elective conference. So we will be looking into various immigration laws in various countries, so that at least from a pan-Africanist point of view, we begin to say, how do we treat each other as Africans? We can only do so if we are informed. And for us to be informed is for us to study these immigration laws across the continent. But we'll try to do maybe 3 or 4 countries within the SADC region. We'll identify countries like Zimbabwe, Mozambique, that have Lesotho, that have an influx of migrants coming to South Africa, and then pick in East Africa how East Africa deals with the issue of migration. Look into countries like Nigeria, Senegal, their immigration laws, so that we have this better understanding, so that when we continue with this discussion or with this debate, at least we are informed. I've not really studied the immigration laws in East Africa, what the East African community did. I was in some meeting with the trade unions from East Africa. They were saying you can simply pick up your passport in Kenya, not a passport but your ID in Kenya, and you just cross the border to your neighboring country in East Africa. I'm not sure whether that is the correct position. So we're going to look in all that. So that then when we finalize, we then begin to say, what does this mean? These immigration laws, what does this mean from a pan-Africanist point of view? If I say we're pan-Africanist, what are the laws that our different African countries on immigration are adopting? Because we must end by saying, why is it difficult for a free movement of people, but easy for free movement of goods? These are the issues that we need to deal with. But this we'll have to do after we've done the study in a number of countries that I've mentioned, how their immigration laws are structured, so that we then begin to say what are the difficulties, if there are any, in moving goods across, and then draw a comparison with the ordinary people that want to move across the borders, because you know that goods are mainly pushed by the capitalistic class. So want to have this understanding, the movement of the trucks that carry goods across our borders, trains and so forth, how difficult it is to move goods. Is it very difficult, or it is easy, or the delay is at the border post? I've been to the Bedbridge border post. It has been revamped, is now easy to cross. I've not really done to check whether trucks are still spending days at the Bedbridge border post. These are also the issues that we need to look into. You remember last time, I think it was 2020, where there was a blockade of trucks and it caused problems between the two countries. The trucks were blocking on the Zimbabwean side. So after the revamp of the Bedbridge border post, we need to discuss whether we still face these challenges in moving goods across the region. And you know, there's a new route that was also, which is now Kanzangulu. I think that's the correct pronunciation, where most of the trucks now go through. So these are the issues that we also need to check to discuss the movement of goods within the region, draw a comparison with the movement of people mainly who are doing cross-border trade, and also people that are looking for opportunities. Please, we'll appreciate if you can share with us the immigration laws of your own country. If you are from Zimbabwe, you are from Lesotho, you are from Malawi, please share your own immigration laws in your own country of origin, so that we can have a proper engagement. Otherwise, comrades, please like this video, circulate to your contacts, and please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thank you so much. Amandla.